name is Robert Pembroke. I'd like to tell you today about a type of joke. It's been going around for, gosh, over 100 years. It's certainly 19th century. It's in the world of Mary Shelley, that sort of joke. It has that sort of Lovecraftian aspect to it, the world of H.P. Lovecraft, or The Return of the Living Dead, O'Bannon's Living Dead. It's a kind of joke that was epitomised in the song by Ralph Harris, titled Jake the Peg. It relates to the idea of organ transplantation and the efficaciousness of organ transplantation. It's really interesting, organ transplantation, because there's a kind of virtuousness to it, isn't there? Someone is voluntarily giving up an organ to another human being, sacrificing it for their life so they can live longer. But there's another side to it that's a rather strange side, that's a little bit bidirectional, or having a sort of synergic aspect to it, where it complements the nature of what is a very nice thing, a beneficial thing to do, but it in itself is a very negative side to it all. Sometimes people presume that it's okay to place people in harm's way so that their organs can be harvested. It happens where people deliberately have people harmed so their organs can be harvested and used in another human being. A friend of mine was overseas, and he knew a fellow who disappeared, and he was found the next day. Apparently his drink had been spiked in on an outing somewhere, a hotel or something, and he was found in an alleyway, and his organs had been extracted from his body for human organ transplantation. There's a kind of a different side to it, where it's possible, if there's a lack of reporting, if the reporting method is averted and people attempt to conceal aspects of behaviour within institutions such as hospitals, then it's possible that organ transplantations can occur illegally, particularly in relation to people with mental illness, those who have been held under, say, mental health enactments. They've been indefinitely detained without charge, involuntarily, with little or no oversight. Some of them are quite proud of it, that they can do that. But there is another side to it. While it may appear rather humorous to some, it's kind of not really humorous when we sort of marry off that idea of illegal organ transplantation with, say, a missing person list that is quite extensive now. It's quite expansive, yeah. There are a lot of people who are missing in Australia. There is organ transplantation that occurs. There is a failure to adequately report in relation to, say, incidents or frequency of improper things that occur in hospitals, or indeed proper things. Yeah. So as you can imagine, there's fertile ground there for deception to occur and for people to be mistreated. And sometimes people confuse the nature of positive psychology in terms of optimism in patient well-being with the idea of being intrusive, being a public nuisance, and affecting the health of other people just to achieve some sort of catharsis or remediation in one's own life. In fact, look, you'll see there are people in the Faculty of Medicine, they advocate it. They say, oh sure, it's one in, all in, you know, we've all got a share in this process, yeah? But there's a kind of baitballing that occurs, isn't there, where people act like public nuisances to create the nature of causal provocation in the lives of other people, so that they can elevate their sense of health or well-being on the mistreatment of other people, yeah? And that becomes extremely problematical in terms of organ transplantation, because there's a point there where one knows there are particular people who are prone to organ transplantation. For example, it's not widely reported, but there is an augmentation between the demand for organs, human organs, kidneys, livers, and the frequency of alcoholism across blood types. So there are actually particular blood types that centrify around the need for organ transplantation. Organ failure occurs because they tend to be more prone to alcoholism or illicit drug use. Yeah? And in the early days of organ transplantation, there was a demand for particular blood type organs, yeah, and it always had a correspondence with the nature of illicit drug use, substance abuse, alcoholism, that sort of thing, yeah. So there was a joke going around hospitals in relation to, say, diabetes, where it was seen that you know, there was a situation where there was a kind of exchange economy that occurred with human organ transplantation. It was a bit like a market economy, where someone with diabetes would turn around and say, oh, I'll give you 2 legs for a kidney, yeah? I'll trade you my 2 legs for a kidney, that sort of joke, yeah? Because it has that aspect to it, doesn't it, organ transplantation. And I'm not sure that's the sort of message one would wish to give people, is it? You know, that it's okay to behave badly, to be a public nuisance, because the squeaky wheel gets oiled, doesn't it? Yeah? And it's okay to mistreat people who try to do the right thing, yeah? Because I think it's improper. I think it's different from a joke, isn't it? From a black comedy in relation to horror. To have people deliberately mistreated as a joke so you can feel better. Anyway, here's this song, Jake the Peg, that I prepared for you, and it actually has a relationship to that way of thinking, that sort of comical side of it, but the reality is that there's a harshness to it all, isn't there? Anyway, cheers, thanks very much, and here's the song. Hello, Robert Pembroke, Ralph Harris hit tune, Jake Peg, Sunfly karaoke, yeah? Black Swan music. I'm Jake the Peg, with my extra leg, wherever I go through rain and snow, the people always let me know. That's Jake the Peg, with the extra leg. The day that I was born, oh boy, my father nearly died. He couldn't get my nappies on no matter how he tried, because I was born with an extra leg, you see, and since that day began I had to learn to stand on my own 3 feet. I'm Jake the Peg, with my extra leg, wherever I go through rain and snow, the people always let me know. That's Jake the Peg, with the extra leg. I had a dreadful childhood, really, I suppose I should have known. Each time they had a 3-legged race, I won it on my own. And also I got popular when came the time for cricket. They used to roll my trousers up and use me for the wicket. I'm Jake the Peg, with my extra
was a dreadful scholar, I found all the lessons hard. The only thing I knew for sure was 3 feet make a yard. To count to 10 I used me fingers if I needed more. By getting me shoes and socks off, I could count to 24. I'm Jake the... 225. I'm Jake the Peg. Beetle, 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 with my extra leg. Beetle, 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 whatever I did, they said was false. They said quick march, I did quick waltz. Then they shouted at me, put your best foot forward. Which foot? I said it's very fine for you, you've only got a choice of 2. Me, I'm Jake the Pendulum, with my extra leg. Thanks very much, Robert Pembroke, Jake the Peg, the Ralph Harris hit tune, Sunfly, Black Swan. Cheers.